holding on to the udders and just bouncing around. Everything's really pointy and pretty and presentable. All the P's. We'll do an episode on the maths one day. Diuretics galore, obviously. Yeah, so the space hopper race. I mean, who would have thought? Yo, what's going on, guys? Rhys here from More Than Lifting with the More Than Lifting podcast. Conversations about calisthenics, bodyweight training, gymnastics, all that good stuff. I'm Rhys, a personal trainer from the UK and founder of morethanlifting.com, and in this episode we're going to be talking about the problem with just hitting progressions. Okay, you want to try and learn a skill, alright, you want to hit those progression exercises all the time, yeah, but that's not always good enough to achieve the skill like you want it. Okay, you can get there. It can be hard. It can be very, very grueling sometimes, depending on the skill, depending on your level, depending on the weak points. All right, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Anyway, we're going to get into that. But first, so today, right, it's 9:30. Right, I'm literally just recording a podcast on the Monday to edit and publish before bedtime for me. So it's quite late. And the reason I'm doing this so late is because I've had a pretty fun evening at an adult sports day, all right, and this was bloody brilliant. So this one of the studio that I coach at is this My Body Rocks in Reigate. They basically, a couple of other studios, local studios in the area, kind of grouped together for, I think it was Sweaty Betty, is that right? I should have really checked that before I got in. Anyway, they set up this adult sports day, all right, and this is like adult colouring books, not like adult movies, all right? So it was child-friendly from the start, and it was just loads of adults doing the events. And we had like all the classics, tug-of-war, egg and spoon race, that one with the bag, you know, the like the sack where you're hopping. We had that. We had, what else did we have? We had skipping rope. We had the beanbag race. We have a beanbag on your head. And we also had a space hopper one, which was just genius, if you ask me. And yeah, so the space hopper race, I mean, who would have thought? It was absolutely amazing. And the Reigate, My Body Rocks Reigate crew, we actually won as well. So thumbs up to everyone who took part. Well done to Zoe, Sam, who's in charge. Steph, you legend, well done, mate. You've done really well today. One of the guys. We had a 3-legged race as well. And shout outs to Ben, obviously, for being a partner in that. Well done, mate. Yeah, it is so much fun. Like, honestly, everyone just had a great time. When I was doing the space hopper race, I was just hopping along with my udders. And it was quite small, so it was a bit awkward. It was like a child size one. It wasn't like an adult size space hopper. There's got to be some around anyway. So I'm doing this race, hands clamped around my udders, bouncing along, and out of nowhere the space hopper explodes from underneath me, and the dog Sam's dog Marcy chased me up the field when I'm doing my race. I wasn't first, I was like in the middle somewhere. Chased me up the field and bit the ball. Bit the space hopper. So yeah, so that was a bit of a problem, but we carried on anyway, just pretending we had a space over there, holding on to the udders and just bouncing around for the rest of the race. And the rest of the team did as well. So I think we did actually earn that victory. Yeah, but so that's what I've been up to anyway. I had such a great time. If you're in the local area, come down to the Cali class on a Wednesday, or I do handstands as well later in the evening. And come check it out, because it's not just like pole fitness studio. Like I say, I do calisthenics and handstand classes, there's mobility class, stretch classes and stuff. Honestly, it's a really good crew down there, really good community of people who turn up for sessions as well. And it would be great to have you down if you're in the area. If not, just fly over. Get on the train, whatever, Wednesday evenings, I'll see you there. No excuses. So today we're talking about progressions, all right, and why we shouldn't just hit progressions. I understand you want to learn your planche, or you want to learn your front lever, or your back lever, or your flag, or whatever, or your one arm elbow lever. That's sick. That I can't do that. So. And all you want to do is hit the progressions. All you care about is achieving that skill. Like, I get it. But progressions are limiting, all right? And that's the problem with just hitting your progressions. It's only one, actually, there's a couple. First off, is when you're doing your progressions, there's only one exercise. You're only doing one shape. You know what I mean? One hold. Okay, usually we're talking about we talk about dynamic and isometric exercises. Okay, so your isometrics are like your skills, like your levers, your flags, your planche, your handstand, whatever, and then your holds. And then your dynamic ones are your things like your pull-ups, your dips, your leg raises, your muscle-ups, all that kind of stuff. That's all your dynamic stuff. Dynamic, obviously, moving. Isometric is holding. All right, so just to clarify them, but the limitations of just hitting your progressions are the same. Okay, they might show slightly differently, but they're pretty much the same. So let's have a look at them. First off, it's only one exercise. So if you're trying to learn your front lever, yeah, you might do different levels of the progressions as you move through your workout, like I suggested when we talked about it in other episodes of the podcast. Just go back a couple of episodes to stuff about skills, stuff about levers, stuff about isometrics, and you'll kind of find out a little bit of what I'm talking about. Yeah, the isometric skill progression template one, I think it was, what number was it? Anyway, call it 37. I reckon 37. All right, I'm not checking, so any bets on that? Like, if we come back 37, send me a message on Instagram and be like, I guess 37 as well, and you got it right, because I'll just give you a thumbs up for it. So it's only one exercise. What I mean by that is, if you're learning your front lever, you're just doing a front lever. You're doing a horizontal hold, and that's it. Yeah, so there's no dynamic movement there. There's no, okay, you're doing different levels of it, but you're basically just turning up to do one exercise, and sometimes that makes sense if you're doing like a grease the groove type training. But even then, I would say don't do like a 1 hour training session just of front levers, because that's not really how the grease the groove method works to an extent. I mean, it can work. That's the thing, right? Because like that's not how it works. I'm telling you, okay? But that's not how we do grease the groove. So, so just thinking about people who I argue with about this stuff, not argue, but you know, when you're like, everyone has a slightly different view on how a certain system works, and because they've adapted it to their style of training, how they teach, how they train themselves, and how they find that kind of how it fits their system of training. Because everyone trains slightly differently, and that's okay. I'm just trying to indoctrinate you with how I train. Anyway, the problem with this, is that it neglects everything else. So it neglects other elements of your training. So say you're doing, like, what about your legs? What about your cardio, your HIIT training? What about your strength training, your dynamic stuff, your push, your pull movements? You know, what about them? If you're only turning up to do your progressions, like, I encourage people to do full, like, complete workouts for a reason. Because over the course of all of your sessions, like, you get more training in. You just get more work of every muscle by doing it that way, rather than isolated stuff. And that's just maths, guys. That's how it works, all right? So I'm not taking any back chat on that. We'll do an episode on the maths one day, all right? So it neglects a lot of other elements of your training. But also, it absolutely fucks you up super quick. Straight away, you'll do your hardest one, because you front load, obviously. Do your hardest one, and then everything suffers after them, boom, 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 because you pre-fatigue in the same shape that you're doing for the rest of your workouts. Everything deteriorates unless you've got serious discipline, unless you've got someone watching you or encouraging you or helping you with that. It is very difficult to maintain that kind of discipline throughout an hour of training or a half hour training. It's a long time. It is a long time. I agree. So the fix for this kind of stuff is to use systems like templates, trisets. Do a triset. So have that as your isometric. Do your push and your pull with it. So silly old notification. That's insane. Everyone's been chatting about Sports Day. It's literally been a major event today. Apologies for that. I'm really glad I didn't get any footage of it, really, because I think some of the girls did. I hope so. But yeah, I'm gutted that I didn't, because all I wanted to do on the way home was watch what had been going on and kind of relive the experience. It's such good. If you get a chance to do something like that, get involved. Some fun stuff like that happens in your community, just get involved. It's good. It's a good laugh. And so use templates anyway. Use trisets. Use a system, or you use the one workout framework. That's perfect. So if you're using trisets, you could say, okay, I'm learning my front lever. So you do your pulls, your dips, and then your isometric, or even front load the isometric. If that's what you're focusing on, front load that. You can change the order of those three. I just think pull's the hardest generally. So you do your pull first, then you go switch it, do your push, then you dip, and then you finish off with your core. So that's how I structure it personally, because pulls for me are the hardest, so I do pulls first. If your front lever stuff is coming first, if it's that progression you're working, so do it that way. Okay, this is the same for like dynamic ones as well. So say you're learning your pull-ups, say you're working on your pull-ups, do your pull-up progressions first, for that set. So say you got your 10, do your 10 negatives or isometrics or whatever, then move on to your dips. So maybe it's the same level, perfect. So maybe you're doing isometrics or you're doing negative dips as well. So that matches up perfectly. It doesn't matter if you're not and you're doing regular dips and you're doing your negatives of, like, it's not the end of the world. You'll use that kind of training to pair it up, double your results, and boom, your pull-ups, and like you get there a lot faster. All right. So the other one, use like the one workout framework. This works really well for skill stuff as well, because you can go right front load my skill training. So you do your skill stuff, whatever you're working on, your progressions there, and then you move down to your strength stuff, and you still hit all your strength. So you're working as much as you can of the skill right at the start. Say it is your front lever, so you're doing your front levers. You got your set different front lever exercises, progressions, however you're structuring that, your progression exercises. Do your 3 sets, like maybe do a hold, a couple of holds, 5 10 seconds hold, 5 20-second holds, something like that. And then you move to maybe like a dynamic progression, or you take it a step back and do your 5 times 10 seconds or 5 20 seconds or 5 30 seconds or whatever. And then you take it down another progression for your last one before you move on to your strength stuff. And that way, what you're doing is front loading all these skill stuff, your progressions, maximizing the results you get from that, pre-fatiguing the tits out of everything that's weak in your front lever, all those weak muscles. They're all getting ragged while you're doing your front lever. And then you move on to a total body workout. You got your pulls, your dips, your leg raises. This is how the one workout framework. Check out that episode, the one workout framework, all right? Because that explains it all. So I've just touched on it a little bit, but you've got, like I say, do those, move on to your strength stuff, move on to your finishers, and they can still relate. You can change your finishers around so that you're doing like flutter kicks because you're working on a lever, or you're doing hollow body holds because you're working on a lever, or however you want to do it, because it has to suit whatever your goals are. Remember that. It's got to suit your goals, or you're just going to be training for something else. It's like, it's like people who do complete mind blank there. So it's like you train for a marathon and all you do is overhead presses, like a military press. It's not going to get you the results you need for your marathon. You need to be doing running. You need to be doing less training, a strength, like side muscles gaining training, especially in your upper body, because if anything, you want to be lighter. Then you're running a marathon, you want to be as light as you can. So diuretics galore, obviously. I'm just kidding. I don't mess with shit like that. I just know the name. You know what I mean? Anyway, so what happens is you end up with big gaps in your progressions. Because the difference between your full lay front lever and your straddle, there's a big gap there. Okay, you're only putting your feet together, but there's a big gap. You go from your tuck to your straddle, your advanced tuck even to your straddle, there is a big gap. There's a big change in the exercise. It pushes the limits a lot. So the next issue then is big gaps in your progressions. Okay, you got to fill those gaps with other exercises, with more training, because otherwise what will happen is you'll push too fast. You'll get comfortable and you won't push and you'll stop. All right. So big gaps in your progressions need to be filled up with other supportive exercises. Or maybe lower level variations. Bring in the variations, because that'll increase the difficulty of the exercise. So it might be a lower level exercise. It might be like it might be a leg raise. It might be an L-sit. It might be a row instead of a pull-up. But you do archer rows, you do typewriter rows, you do a wide grip, close grip, any like different variations, so that you're doing hard. It's not just a regular row, because by then it's too simple, or it might not be because you're still working on your pulls. But what you want to do is be pushing yourself. So you're building more muscle, challenging yourself in different ways. That's going to help you improve slightly, just tweak little bits and bobs to help fill the gap in that progression, fill up that gap to push you towards the next goal. That's how you need to play it. All right. The problem with these big gaps is people do one or two things. yeah, they push too fast, like I said, or they get comfortable. Okay, people pushing too fast tends to be an isometrics or a skill problem. Yeah, because you just want to get the full lever or a full planche or whatever as soon as possible. So what happens is you skip really quickly through the progressions, boom, 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 and then your skill suffers for it. What happens is you can't do it because you get to a point, and because you haven't done enough of the training of the prerequisite progression exercises, the stuff that has to come first to build the strength for the next one, because you just rush through, as soon as you got the advanced tuck, people are working on a straddle. Yeah, but slow it down, work that advanced tuck, own that advanced tuck, maybe do a half lay. Yeah, and maybe work towards a half lay and avoid the straddle completely and just go from, your advanced tuck, your half lay, full lay. Yeah, a half lay, by the way, guys, is when your hips are fully open, so you're flat, and then your knees are bent, so you kind of look completely flat, and then your legs just drop off at the bottom end. All right, and what you're doing is just shortening that lever a tiny little bit, but you've still got all that weight on the end, right at the very end of your lever. Yeah, your lower legs, your feet, all that weight is pulling on your legs, so it's really good progression, actually, the half lay, and I haven't really spoken about it much, so I'll get into that in a future episode. We'll talk about the half lay almost exclusively. Yeah, because it won't be, there'll be something else going on. So getting too comfortable, that's more of like a dynamic strength movement kind of thing. Like, for example, using resistance bands, and then you just get so comfortable with the resistance band that you never do not resistance bands pull-ups anymore. And that's all you can do. You don't ever hit full pull-ups because you just get stuck on the resistance band. You get comfortable, you get complacent, and you stop working your strength. All right, so let's go into that a little bit more, because we can actually talk about this, I think, in a bit more detail. And I think we've got time to as well. I mean, hopefully. How are we doing on the clock? 17:32, okay? And that includes me not chatting. So, so isometrics, right. So like I said, people rush progressions with isometrics. Everyone wants to do the nice sexy planche, the nice sexy flag, nice sexy handstand. Okay, so handstand maybe not so much. Nice sexy levers. Yeah, but they don't want to do all the progressions. They don't want to go down the gym or go down the bars and do tuck anything. And I understand that, because you don't want anyone to see that you're training something. You just want to be able to do shit. You just want to turn up and be like, woo, look at my levers. But everyone does the progressions, all right? Everyone goes through this journey, and you have to as well. I had to, you have to. Like, it's a universal thing. Okay, except maybe back levers. I didn't really follow the progressions for back levers. Maybe I'll get to that in a different episode as well. I should really be writing these down. So many ideas. So anyway, isometrics. People rush to progressions. All right, what happens when you rush to progression, like I said, is your discipline drops. Form goes out the window. Out the window. All right, and front lever is a perfect example of this. So check this out. You learn in your front lever. You do your tuck. You can do your tuck for a while. You move to an advanced tuck. Yeah, and then once you've got your advanced tuck, yeah, for 10 seconds or 5 seconds, or you feel pretty good about it, you just give straddle a go. All right, and then once you've tried straddle once, or you've got a relatively successful hold, that's it. All you do is straddles then. You don't ever try that advanced tuck again. What happens here, yeah, is that you haven't mastered your advanced tuck, which is an important progression for getting your shoulder and hip alignment set right, so that when you move on to the straddle, yeah, that your actual shoulders are too weak, your core is too weak, and your hips drop. Okay, and then what happens is your legs are sticking up and your bum is pointing down. So you end up in this weird like V shape instead of a nice flat lever. Okay, and this happens to so many people. I see so many people do straddle levers like this, particularly front levers, because your shoulders want to open. So it's all about that force, holding it, closing that gap, keeping that angle acute, keeping your hands in your pockets. Ooh, there's another tip. Oh, mate, I'm full of ideas today. So check this out. We're going to talk about having your hands in your pockets. This is one of my favorite calisthenics training tips, hands in your pockets. Remind me, if I don't talk about this for a while, you got to talk about hands in your pockets. All right? So, like I say, discipline out the window. Yeah, you're not focusing on what's important, your progressions, hitting them right, owning it before moving on. Okay, your discipline, your form goes out the window because you're rushing, because you're not focusing on hitting that advanced tuck first, yeah, and getting that hip alignment and the shoulder alignment correct. When you open out to straddle, your hips sink, your legs stick up in the air, and you can't do it. You can't, but you try so hard, and you try it every time you go, and because it doesn't improve, you get bored, you get fed up, or you just stop training it. All right, and then you never achieve the front lever. All you had to do is some advanced tucks for a bit longer, another week. People text. I should have put my phone on silent. Sorry about that. So for this, you struggle to ever hit the skill. All right, and that sucks, because I don't want you to stop hitting skills. I want you to achieve bloody everything. I want you to surpass me. All right. This also, yeah, I've picked on front levers a bit, but this is also a big planche problem. Okay, people rush planche progressions. They want to do a planche, don't focus on their straight arm, can't get the straight arm right. Then they get stuck at a progression, or their straddle is just honestly shit. And there are lots of these, lots of really bad planches about, especially straddle planches. And my I don't have a perfect planche. Okay, recently I haven't even been able to do a planche because of my wrist. I haven't been trained in them, nothing. So I will struggle to get a half decent planche right now. But that's okay. I understand that. I'm all right with it. You see people do terrible planches all the time. Their bum's really high up in the air. Their legs are sticking out at awkward angles. I've got photos of me doing this shit too. All right, so I'm not picking on anyone. I'm not saying everyone's planches are shit except mine, because that's not the case. This is a problem everyone has. All right, the hardest part of a planche is leaning far forwards enough to allow your hips to drop down enough with your legs still sticking out at a nice angle, a front lever angle. All right, what happens is the opposite of a front lever. So instead of hanging, and your hips sinking and your legs pointing up, the opposite happens. All right, so you push your bum super high, and then your legs kind of come down a little bit or straight out. And what that does is it sets up this funny position where your bum and your legs are up in the air, and you're like halfway press into a handstand almost. Okay, and what that does is it just shortens the lever, so it means you can do it. Yeah, it means people can actually do it. But because then, once they've got a photo of that, that's good enough. They can do it once. That they don't bother training it anymore. They don't bother perfecting it, mastering the skill. And so their straddle's always shit. All right? And it's, like I say, I'm not picking on anyone. It's the same with everyone. It's the same with me. You know, when I first learned to do a straddle planche, that was it. I didn't train straddle. I was like, yep, I can do it. See you later. Next skill. All right, stupid mistake to really work on the planche. I just sit a couple of months later because I hadn't been training it, and I'd lost it. I'd literally lost the skill. And I don't want that to happen to you guys. So I've got to have a chat for ages, but we'll keep going. So the next one then, dynamic strength exercises, dynamic skills even. It's the same. The problem with this is people move too slow. So they get comfortable. They move too slow through the progressions. They don't push themselves hard enough. As soon as you can do it, move on to the next one. That's the rules. Okay, it's the opposite of isometrics. Isometrics is take your time. Don't rush anything. Slow it down. Stick with an earlier progression. With dynamic stuff, it's like push. Higher, harder. Next week, you're doing this. No more of this. You're not allowed to do isometrics anymore. Only negatives. Only full reps. Only mini reps. Only bloody jump squats. Not jump squats, I'm joking. Everyone can do jump squats. They're not a progression for never. So dynamics, right, move too slow. They forget to push themselves. They forget to push themselves every session, try and hit. They lose sight of their target, all right? And this is because they get comfortable. They get comfortable doing the resistance band pull-ups, like I said earlier. So instead of pushing and learning to do proper pull-ups, they go, oh, no, I can only do the resistance band. This happens all the time when I'm training people in classes, because they don't, they're like, oh, no, I can't do that. I'm on the green resistance band. Yeah, but I want you to move to purple now because you've been on the green for 2 weeks. Oh, yeah, but I can't do it. That's too hard. Yeah, you're gonna be worse. That's the thing. You drop the resistance band level, your reps are going to be worse because you have to do more work. So it's going to be harder, but it's going to get you there. It's going to get you where you need to be. So just do it. Or the other thing people do, right, and this is, instead of getting comfortable, sometimes what they do is they move too fast and kip. This is naughty as well, guys. Kipping fits into the progressions, but you don't want to get stuck on kipping. Everyone gets stuck on kipping, especially muscle-ups, yeah, because they want to just do shitloads of muscle-ups and look like a beast. But what happens is they do really shit muscle-ups. Is there a point in doing shit muscle-ups? I don't know. I don't think so. I think good ROM pulls, good ROM dips are better, you know, and a couple of negative muscle-ups. Or, see, this is the thing. This is where the argument comes in, because you could argue that doing your kip muscle-ups is good plyometrics. And it kind of is, because you're working that elasticity, that muscle, that spring back, you know what I mean? That kind of spring-loaded action in your muscles. Plyometric stuff, which is really important. You've got to do that stuff, you know, but does that mean you can only do kip muscle-ups? No. That means you should be learning to do strict muscle-ups, proper muscle-ups, and save your plyometric training for other stuff. I'm only messing with you. But you can use your kip. Okay, you can use your kip as a progression. So once you can do one strict muscle-up, you could probably do 3 kips. So do 3 to 5 kips. You know, do your 3 kips, work up to your 5, work up to your 10 even. Yeah, but don't stay there. Move on to strict ones. Okay, you'll probably only be able to do 5 strict ones. But then that's your next target. You can do 5 strict muscle-ups. That's good. Now hit your 10. Work on that 10. All right, and you can achieve it. It's important that you don't lose sight of the prize. Yeah, people think they've mastered a skill by kipping, and then what they do is they get comfortable kipping. They risk injury. They never hit the full strict exercise. Yeah, most people who can do quote-unquote muscle-ups can't do strict muscle-ups. Or they might be able to, but they choose not to and choose to do the plyos, choose to do the kip reps. Yeah, and kipping and swinging is naughty. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that's it. Now, I think the problem with it is that you never hit the exercise, right? And that's risking injury is a big no-no anyway. Why would you want to hurt yourself? But surely for inside, you want to master that skill. Yeah, and this is one thing that really kind of took me it really grabbed hold of me when I was doing gymnastics. It's like, I just wanted to learn stuff. I just wanted to be able to do loads of cool skills. Yeah, and then you start to see people who are really good at gymnastics, and you see how everything's so almost delicate, you know, everything's really pointy and pretty and presentable, all the P's. But I didn't have any of that. My legs were flailed all over the place. My toes wouldn't be pointed. All these things were off. Yeah, and when I really kind of developed that discipline, my mindset shifted where I wanted to be able to do stuff better. You know, I wanted it to look really good when I did something rather than it just looking like a thing. Yeah, and that's when that discipline, it really got instilled in me, you know, and that mindset, you know, of working on your form, working on your discipline, working on good quality movements, and my results, my training got better, my skills got better, everything just, you know, everything just compounded on itself because I was putting more effort into the little things. And when you get to a certain level and you've been neglecting all those little things, you hit a plateau because all those little things matter later on. And there'll be the difference between you achieving a skill or not, like your straight arm strength, for example. If you don't work on your straight arm early and then you start working towards your planche later on, you will really struggle to hit that planche because if you're not doing your straight arm, now, what are you doing? Okay, I'm not hating on bent arm planche people. Elbow levers are all right, yeah, but you surely you want to do it right. Do you know what I mean? Surely you want to do a planche and not an elbow lever. You know, like a bent arm planche, it's also called in gymnastics, but it's not a planche. A planche is a straight arm skill. You get that with the discipline. Otherwise, you never hit a planche. You know, most people who try to do a planche never manage to do a planche. Because they lose sight of the goal, they fuck up their isometric progressions, they rush stuff, yeah, their discipline drops, form goes out the window, struggle to ever hit the skill. Get complacent, try and rush. And then, like I've already said, there's big gaps in the progressions. So, like I said, progressions are limiting. All right, guys, I'm rounding it out because I've just been rambling at you for ages. Progressions are limiting, all right? That doesn't mean progressions are naughty. That doesn't mean you can't do the progressions. If you want to learn a skill, do the progressions for that skill. But don't be stuck. Don't just do that. Yeah, do other stuff too. Do your strength training still. Do your pulls. Do your dips. Yeah, do your variations. And think about how you can make these, like I spoke about in the last kind of couple of episodes where we were talking about the isometric stuff. Like, pick the right ones. Pick the right ones for your workout. What was that? That was 65. Pick the right isometrics. Pick the right stuff. So if you're learning your front lever, maybe try, after you've done your skill stuff, maybe try front lever pulls, you know? because it's working that position. It's working all those muscles that are weaker. Yeah, it's working them in the right way to develop your front lever. So why aren't you doing that? You know what I mean? Do wipers instead of hanging leg raises. So you just sit like on your top of your hanging leg raise where you're horizontal, your body's horizontal, your legs are up in the air, and then you do twists either side. So twist to your horizontal right, twist to horizontal left. You know what I mean? Keep your toes nice and pointed, like windscreen wipers. That's a great exercise. So just think about what you're doing. All right, don't lose sight of your target. Don't rush your progressions for your isometrics. Don't get comfortable with dynamic progressions. Always push yourself every session. Push yourself with the strength. Slow down with the skills, with the isometrics, all right? And whatever you do, don't kip because it's naughty. Now, kipping can be used, but kipping is a tool for a progression. You don't want to get stuck with it because you do risk injury doing stuff like that. You're not controlling your body through the movement. Yeah, you're letting gravity and momentum and all kinds of other external forces interfere with your movement. And what that does is it just puts stuff out of position, out of place, and puts it in the wrong place to be doing the movement anatomically. Yeah, it fucks with your joints, your bones, everything. So, like, only kipping, yeah, it's not like a long turn. If you just sit there swinging on the bar, you're not gonna end up with your one shoulder and your hip and your legs sticking out your head or something like that. It's not that mad, you know. But guys, you know what I'm saying. Just take it on board, all right? Understand that progressions aren't the be-all and end-all for achieving skills. You got dynamic variations. You got dynamic variations of skills, of progressions. Yeah, like the planche ones we've spoken about before, where you're in your tuck or your advanced frog and you're switching, bringing legs into a tuck planche, taking them out to the frog, bringing them in, bring them out, stuff like that. All right, guys, that's it for this episode, all right? Because I will just start going around in circles otherwise. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you like what you heard, as always, subscribe, give us a like, share with your mates, training partners, all that good stuff. If you're about and fancy coming down to the Calisthenics class in Reigate, then Wednesday 6:10 at My Body Rocks Studio. Check them out at My Body Rocks Reigate on Instagram because they got some really cool stuff going on over there, honestly. And otherwise, guys, reach out to me everywhere at More Than Lifting. Send us a message. Check out the YouTube. I've recently been doing some bits on YouTube, and because I haven't been, and that's stupid, isn't it? So I'm getting on YouTube. So check me out over there. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Have a great evening. And I've got to edit this and get it out to quick shit. All right, cool. Bye, 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 bye. Oh yeah, and keep in touch with yourselves.